Hi, and welcome back to Authentically ADHD. I am your host, Carmen. I'm a late diagnosed ADHDer, an early childhood special educator, and a certified life and performance coach. I created this podcast to help as many ADHDers as I could to learn about your specific ADHD. I know that when I was late diagnosed, I was sent out the door with meds and no help. We have to do a lot of this work on our own, but if we join together in community, we can live more authentically and with more joy in our lives. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hey there, and welcome back to Authentically ADHD, the podcast where we explore the unique ways that ADHD can impact our lives, how we can work with it and not against it. I'm your host, Carmen, and today we're diving into one of the biggest struggles for ADHD brains, time. Managing our days, sticking to our routines, and keeping momentum can feel impossible. But don't worry, you're in the right place. I've got you covered with practical strategies, real-life examples, and tools to help you master your time and build a routine that actually works for you. Side note, I also want to thank you. If you have stuck along through my audio issues lately, I have hopefully fixed my recording app to make it so that my mic is not muffling my voice. I do have a monotone voice. I have been told it's calming. I've also been given feedback that it's hard to listen to my podcast because people would like me to speak up. But this is who you got. This is me, and I'm authentic here, hence the name, Authentically ADHD. So, back to the reason why we are here today. Have you ever, you're doing something and maybe you get hyper-focused into it, right? And all of a sudden you look up and it's whatever time, and it's not the time that you thought it was. It feels like, 20 minutes went by, but it's been 2 hours. Why does this happen? Well, let's start with understanding ADHD and time. Why do ADHD and our management of ourselves within time struggle to get along? Well, ADHD is a neurodevelopmental condition, and it's characterized by challenges in the executive functions such as planning, prioritizing, and time perception. Time perception is the feeling of passing time, that internal clock. We don't have that. Neurodivergent people don't develop that internal clock like neurotypical people do. So some common challenges that we have include time blindness, difficulty perceiving the passage of time accurately. Then that leads into task initiation issues, trouble beginning tasks even when they are important, or putting off or procrastinating. And then there's hyperfocus and distractibility, 2 ends of a coin. Either you get overly absorbed in a task or you're easily distracted by external or internal stimuli. So why do routines matter for ADHD brains? First of all, structure is going to reduce decision fatigue. Ask me how I know. Having a routine minimizes the need to consistently and constantly decide what you need to do next during the chaos of your day. Believe me, I was one of those people who let chaos run my day. It's not cool. When you have routines that you make habits, it really helps to lessen the chaos and overwhelm. It also helps to make transition predictable and easy. Knowing what comes next helps smooth those transitions between activities and tasks. And when you plan for those transitions, it makes things a lot easier. So, time perception, the science behind the struggle. Why does time feel so slippery when you have ADHD? We're going to break it down from a neurological perspective. ADHD is fundamentally a condition of executive function impairment, which means it affects the brain's ability to plan, organize, and manage time effectively. This is largely due to the differences in the prefrontal cortex, the brain's command center for decision-making and self-regulation. Also, the dopamine system resides here, which influences motivation and reward processing. And I want to remind you that our dopamine reward system is broken. Our brains suck up that dopamine so fast that it doesn't even get a chance to use it to influence motivation or reward all the time. Research shows that individuals with ADHD experience time blindness, a difficulty in accurately perceiving the passage of time. This is not just being a poor time management person, okay? It's a neurological difference. We have impaired time estimation. Studies using time reproduction tasks reveal that people with ADHD tend to underestimate or overestimate durations of time. The brain struggles to create an internal clock. Since we weren't born with one, we have to create it. And that makes it very difficult to gauge how long tasks will actually take. You may think that emptying the dishwasher is going to take an hour when it really only takes, about 10 to 15 minutes. You may think that doing that one last thing is just going to take 5 minutes when really it takes 30. Then we have this now versus not now thinking. ADHD brains tend to categorize time in two ways: immediate and everything else. Without a strong sense of future consequences, tasks that aren't urgent often get pushed to the side, even if they're important. Then we also have working memory deficits. Since working memory is essential for keeping track of your goals, your deadlines, and the time constraints between them all, deficits in this area make it harder for individuals with ADHD to stay on top of those time-sensitive tasks. For example, staying on top of my lesson planning each week is difficult for me when that's a repetitive task, and I had to time it to see how long it actually took. It doesn't actually take, 2 to 3 hours. It actually only takes about an hour if I stay focused on it. You know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm saying? Are you relating here? So, now, we talked about how we need to build routines to help with this time perception, right? We talked about how our brain's reward system is broken, right? And we talked about how all of these things start with building routines that work, all right? So we're going to go step by step. First, we have to build a foundation. Now, the power of structure for us, oh my goodness, I couldn't even tell you. Now, I resist structure a lot, but I am a person who identifies as ADHD. I am on the spectrum a little bit, so some of that sameness really, really helps me, and I do enjoy it. But I also experience the boredom of repetitive routines, all right? Science-backed strategies like structured routines, external time cues, and visual schedules can create predictability and help compensate for that time blindness, okay? Routines also reduce the cognitive load we tend to carry around all day, every day. When you have a well-established routine, it eliminates decision fatigue. When daily habits are automatic, the ADHD brain doesn't have to constantly problem solve what to do next. Research in cognitive psychology suggests that habits bypass the executive function demands, making follow-through easier. For example, I used to have to think about journaling every day. Now, that bypasses all of my executive function demands, and I just do it. Because if I don't, I feel weird. Some of the things that have helped me and that help others are visual schedules and timers, visual ones that enhance time awareness. Visual schedules provide external structure, helping individuals with ADHD see what needs to happen and when. A 2018 study on visual supports found that externalizing time through planners, calendars, and task boards significantly improved task initiation and completion rates. You may think when you hear a visual schedule that that's just for kids, but no. We can make them for ourselves. We can make them for adults. We can even make them fun. Use stickers, use glitter, use whatever it is that will make it easier for you and more fun for you to use, okay? I love to use whiteboards. I love to use journals with different stickers in them. I especially love bullet journals because it gives me space to do what I want on each page. Then there's those timers and time cues. For me, Post-it notes don't work. So countdown timers, Pomodoro techniques, and auditory reminders create that tangible sense of passing time for me. Brain imaging studies suggest that real-time feedback enhances activation in the prefrontal cortex, strengthening your time awareness. I know it doesn't seem fair that we have to teach this all to ourselves, and then other people are kind of born with it, but trust me, I'm sorry, it is unfair, but this is what we have to do. The next tip I have is chunking tasks and implementing transition strategies. So, like we always talk about, looking at a big project like a lesson plan is hard and it feels overwhelming. So breaking those tasks into smaller, time-bound chunks makes overwhelming projects feel more manageable. So, pick a book, do the vocab, pick the circle, activities. Breaking that down, it reduces the overwhelm for me and makes it feel more manageable. Research on behavioral momentum shows that starting with a simple, low-effort action can build motivation, making it easier to tackle those bigger tasks. At the end of the day, ADHD brains do not lack discipline or willpower. They need structure that works with their neurobiology and not against it. Seriously, a solid routine starts with small, manageable steps. So start small and be realistic. Instead of saying, I'll wake up at 6 a.m. and work out for an hour, start with, I'll wake up and I'll make sure that I stretch for 5 minutes. Break those routines down into steps. Instead of get ready for work, break it down. Wake up. Journal, do whatever you need to do, brush teeth, shower, get dressed. And then use visual aids. Use color-coded calendars, whiteboards, sticky notes, auditory timers, whatever works for you. Remember, it's not about what works for somebody else. It's about what works for you so you're not fighting your brain every day. Now, let's take a break to hear from our sponsors. Hey there. If you're looking for a game changer in managing your ADHD, let me tell you about something that's made a huge impact on my life. Focused, the adult ADHD group coaching program by Kristen Carter. This isn't just another program. It's a community. It's a roadmap. It's a lifeline for adults with ADHD who want to thrive. Inside of Focus, you'll find weekly coaching calls with Kristen packed with actionable insights, a supportive community of adults who get it. They get what it's like to live with ADHD. You'll get tools and strategies that actually work for our brains. No fluff, just real results. I've been a part of Focused for over a year, and let me tell you, it's where I've learned so much of what I share with you on Authentically ADHD. It's been a game changer for me, and I think it could be for you too. And here's the best part. If you use my link to join, we both save money. It's a win-win. So if you've been looking for the right ADHD support, this is your sign to check it out. Head to the link in my show notes to learn more and sign up. Let's thrive together with tools and support that we need to succeed. Are you also loving what we're doing on Authentically ADHD but want to take your experience to the next level? Well, I have got something for you. Introducing the Authentically ADHD Patreon, your VIP pass to the ultimate ADHD support hub. As a Patreon member, you'll unlock exclusive perks like early access to every single episode, hear it before anyone else does, a treasure trove of resources that I've made, tools, guides, and worksheets to help you thrive in everyday aspects of life, direct coaching opportunities with me designed to help you harness your ADHD powers, and the cherry on top, an incredible community of like-minded individuals who just get it. You're not alone on this journey, and together we can be unstoppable. By joining Patreon, you're not just supporting the podcast, you're fueling a movement. Together, we're breaking stigmas, embracing authenticity, and creating a world where ADHD is seen as a strength and not just a struggle. So what are you waiting for? Head over to patreon.com/authenticallyADHD and join the family today. Let's keep growing, thriving, and showing up authentically together. Hope to see you over there. Back to the show. All right, so now that we've talked about how to break down these routines and how to kind of put them into your day to help with time management, let's talk about maintaining the momentum and flexibility. So we're going to talk about two key ingredients to ADHD-friendly routines: momentum and flexibility. If you're like me, you've probably started a new routine with great enthusiasm, only to abandon it after a few days. Why does this happen? Well, because, like I said before, ADHD brains resist structure, and we, thrive on novelty. And routines can feel repetitive and boring over time. So how do we maintain that momentum without burning out? Let's break it down. First of all, start rewarding yourself for progress and celebrating the small successes. Our brains love dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter. But with ADHD, we often have lower levels, making motivation harder. So we don't tend to celebrate those small wins. But it works if you do start celebrating those small wins. Write down things on your to-do list you can cross off right away. And create built-in rewards. They don't even have to be big. Watching an episode of your favorite show after finishing a task, using a fun planner, or even a simple high five with yourself or a loved one can reinforce these habits. A client of mine struggled with morning routines, and he started using a sticker chart, like a checkoff chart. Yes, an adult using a sticker chart. And you know what? It worked. Seeing his progress visually helped him stick with it, and he talked about it recently on an episode. Now, there's another part of this I want to talk about, and that's embracing flexibility to adapt your routines. ADHD brains need structure but resist rigidity. Routines should not feel like a prison. Here's a strategy. Have a plan B. If your morning routine gets disrupted, do a shorter version of it or a different version instead of giving up completely. See if your workout routine falls apart because you're running late. Instead of skipping it, try a 5-minute stretch or a 5-minute, cardio boost instead. Then make sure that you're seeking support from professionals and engaging in community. Healing happens in community. ADHD is really hard to navigate alone. Therapy, coaching, and ADHD communities can help. Find an accountability buddy, a friend, a coach, or an online group to check in with. One of my clients texts me a done message when he completes a task, or he'll send me a picture. It keeps him accountable without feeling pressured, and it gives me a built-in accountability buddy too. So now that we've covered momentum and flexibility, let's talk about some tools that can make time management a little easier. Now, technology can be a game changer for ADHD time management, and I have a whole episode on apps that I find useful. But now, when we're using them for time management, we need to be using it intentionally. That's the only way to make it work. Make it work for you instead of getting distracted by it, okay? There are tasks or apps like Todoist for task organization, Forest to stay focused, and Timo is an ADHD friendly visual planner. I've never tried that one before. I use Sensama. That is also an ADHD friendly visual planner. And you can make sure that you're experimenting with different apps. Don't overload yourself. Find one or two that work and stick with those. And then leverage your reminders and notifications. Like I said, add auditory and visual reminders, like making your entire phone screen get taken up and make all the audio stop when a reminder pops up. Make an auditory, something you can hear, something you can see when a certain amount of time has gone by. Use alarms, sticky notes, pop-up notifications. I set a reminder to take my ADHD meds, but instead of a boring, like, take your meds alert, I use, mine says, take your superpower vitamins for the day. You can use a superpower boost time. It just makes it more engaging and a little more fun. Also, take advantage of the voice assistant on your phone. Seriously, it can set timers, reminders, set with grocery lists. I tell it to remind me of so many things because my working memory sucks and it frees up my mental space so I don't have to remember it later. Now that we've talked about some tools, let's talk about why it's a little hard for the ADHD brain and some time-saving strategies. Prioritize your tasks. Use the Eisenhower matrix, the one with 4 different squares. I have a whole podcast on it. One square is urgent and important. Do it now. The next square is important but not urgent, so you need to schedule it. Then there's the urgent but not important. You can schedule it out or you can delegate it to someone else. And if it's none of the above, put it on an ideal list for later. Number 2, break down large tasks into smaller steps. I will never stop giving this tip because instead of write a podcast, breaking it down into research, write an outline, write and record and publish makes it a lot easier for my brain to actually finish the task. Use time blocking. Set aside specific chunks of time for different tasks. Use your energy management, your energy levels, to leverage yourself on this. Put your higher tasks like check emails or do podcasts, deep work for in the morning if that's when you're most engaged, or for in the evening if that's when you find you're most productive. So here are 10 strategies to support routines and time blindness. 1. Use external time cues. Timers, alarms, countdown clocks, whatever you have to do to externalize that time. Visual time with hourglasses and analog clocks. And then create urgency with fake deadlines. For example, I'll finish this by 11 a.m., even if it's not due until tomorrow. Another one is to, if you're going to use sticky notes and they don't really work for you traditionally, put them on the door where you're going to leave. Put them on the mirror that you get ready in. That way, it'll help you to actually remember to do the task. The next one is setting yourself up for success the night before. Our future selves thank us so much when we set ourselves up for success the night before. And I promise you, your brain will thank you the next day when it takes away from your cognitive load. The next one is to track your energy management. So track your energy through the day. Get some awareness around where your high energy is and where your low energy is, okay? Now, remember, managing time with ADHD is not about being perfect. It's about finding what works for you. So try out some of these strategies, experiment, and be kind to yourself in the process. if you found this episode helpful, share it with a friend, leave a review, or share it on your socials, and be sure to tag me at authenticallyADHD_podcast so I can give you a big virtual hug. I will catch you next time because that's all I have for now. Stay authentic and we will talk soon.